soft, undulating beats of the sax in my background, as wave after wave of jazz tunes fill my ears, my book in hand and pen dangling delicately between my thumb and forefinger, did I mention the half-baked apple laying upon this hardwood mahogany rusty table? And don't be too much in a hurry as to mess this dark, short mug of hot, steaming Americano coffee, with each steam sending off an aroma of affluence and total accomplishment into the air. The atmosphere itself, set as if it was created for nothing but total dominance and control of anyone and anything around. Now with feet raised against the veranda rail and heart half against my forehead, I totally look accomplished as I watch the sun set elegantly over the ridges up against the Masai Mara National Reserve. Nothing more amazing than to watch the wildebeests and heavy-horned buffaloes return from the watering holes and lay down in herds to chew the cud. Now such, my dear trader, was the dream of a young boy 3 decades ago, till life itself tossed the cosmos in disarray right before his eyes. Yet before I set the dice in motion and hence toss the wind to the wind, allow me to say, blessed days and pleasant nights. Welcome. Now welcome to the little pieces that look well placed and aligned before our eyes, yet with a break of stone and hence crash into pebbles, do the fractions speak a tale of themselves. Welcome to the story of a boy who set out to gain the whole world, but instead lost himself. Starting out from the city and finding himself in the village, he must return hence to discover his destiny. But with all odds set up against him, must he harness all the grace and work within him and make a life out of nothing. Now welcome to your story, welcome to my story, and welcome to our story. I always thought that mine was a story to move hearts and even melt mountains, till I encountered this amazing narration from a once classmate and calm personality I thought I truly knew. Now sitting down with him over a cup of tea, from a thermos flask and old-style buttered bread, just the way I love it, on both sides that is, do I realize the truth and purpose of the ancient scriptural inscriptions that say, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned." End of quote. Now with this sobriety at heart, does this story take me to the shores of the beautiful lakeside city, Kisumu, within which sits the famous Nyalenda suburbs. Herein lay a retiring cashier and his teaching wife and their now last-born son in the name of Denis, the last bullet in their Russian roulette. A little lad who had dreams and passions to harness the wind and oceans themselves, a dream that could have been so easily brought to life had his artistic desires been taken into consideration at his then junior school. Now for a school that even had kids wear socks and a tie to class, back in the early 90s, in my opinion this was a well-off-to-do school. But then, who takes note of a little lad's aspirations when there are decision makers in the upper classes and he, well, is nothing but a little lad whose mind flickers off at the switch of a bulb, right? So little Denis goes on to nurture his dreams and desires behind hidden doors, and with their increasing comic and narrations from incredible cartoonists now plying the pages of newspapers and Saturday magazine issues, it was not hard for little Denis to develop a liking for the likes of Stano, Gado, and even Kam. And who in this age can forget their amazing bongo man goes to mass by the one and only Gitonga himself. This in turn lands him a comic buddy he so easily recalls as Thomas Odis, short form for Odhiambo. As he narrates these graphic memories, my eyes can't help but glow as I quip in some of the names of my childhood comic narrators. I must admit that adrenaline is now gushing over the limit till he goes on to add that his love and passion of drawing cartoons is not much appreciated, and even his desire to feature in the school magazine still stayed as nothing but a dream. So with this downset, does his priorities and aspirations start to shift, even with the now upcoming Kenyan comedians like KJ of Ridiculous starting to have an impact on him? Not to be a comedian really, I mean, Denis, with all honesty, has little sense of humor, and I doubt his blunt honesty would really help much in that regard. Not to say that hanging around him has no warmth to it. You see, as a lover of all art and spoken art in this instant, I am delighted to hear how he shifts his attention to written art, and in this case, poetry. He sharpens these skills, all with an aim of getting a slot in the renowned school magazine, all the time saving 5 shillings from his allotted daily 20 shillings for transport and lunch, so that he could save up and buy a drawing book from the then famous Yatin supermarkets in the growing lakeside city of Kisumu. Did I mention how he managed this saving scheme by eating a papered but failing slice of deep fried cassava worth 3 shillings and a pack of crisps worth 5 shillings for lunch? This, in turn, was substituted by the chipping in of a jar of super deep juice that came in handy from a clique of school lads famously known as the Maskan Boys. He smiles with nostalgia as he swallows at the memory of this. From my sitting point, I can all but envision it as he goes on to explain how not only 3 but up to 4 of his poems get turned down both by his elder peers and teachers for having too much political protest affiliation within them. But how would you blame a little lad who grows up in a heated political background and has been taught to know that executive leadership of the country has been denied from his tribal league for years past? This yet is no political presentation, but the sketcher that I am can't help but paint a picture of the political clashes when there comes out an outcry of election rigging and discrepancies. The same lead to riots in the suburbs crossing over to the affluent Milimani estate, and with this is no escape of the floor of tear gas canisters from protest police that fills all the houses with pungent tear gas smokes. Quite a sad affair if you ask me. At the height of all these hands, Denis' father and mother attain retirement age from the cashier and teaching occupations, and as such head back to their village in the bays of Kindu. This means that the little lad and his dreams too have to go back and settle in the village, readjusting to village life, a new school, and totally different norms, not to mention a lack of distinction of school uniform from different schools in the village. I mean, all that mattered was that you went to one. Life sure doesn't seem the same, yet with a little readjustment and even having to miss lunch at other times in order to shift cattle feeding positions and tether them elsewhere. All pointers looks to be shifting quite fast at this moment. Yet all this did not deter little Denis' dreams as he emerges as the village hero despite lack of electricity for subsequent extended evening classes. A pressure lamp provided by the head teacher did the wonders for his evening tuition back in upper school, and with this was he the best in his division. He then joins the prestigious Rapogi High School, and at this level, however, does he encounter his first tough question: what do you want to become when you grow up? Now ask such a question to the only child of a father of 7, with none having gone to the university, and a sure dilemma when conflict of interest totally arises between the father, who has a last bullet in the form of his last-born son to shoot, and the son who knows what he really desires in life, yet the same may not play well with his father's aspirations. Now, thinking about this deeply, putting his interests under the shelf for a bit and not wanting to disappoint his father, who needs a doctor's name under his roof, he says engineer. And this still sounds big and classy. With this is the trigger eased upon as he sets course in school, sure that his father will not mind using some of his sugarcane earned money to pay his school fees. Of much to note at this point is that all this happens through God's grace, as his father's financial backing was of no solid foundation, yet still it sufficed as they waited for his ma's pension money to come through. With his initial dilemma now set to his back, does he set out for his dreams? Now, to catch more of Denis' story and what he resolves to do in high school and thereafter, please stay tuned for more. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Now, until next time, my dear traders, and hoping you enjoyed this bit of his earlier years, stay blessed and stay safe. Paper, the sketches of life.